Rylan Voss slammed the controls, but the ship shuddered violently. Sparks flew across the cockpit as the hull groaned. The barren red plains below stretched endlessly, jagged craters like open wounds in the planet's surface. He had seconds before the engines failed completely. With a final twist of his hands, the ship lurched, rolled, and slammed into the dust with a bone-shaking crash. The world outside was silent, too silent. He staggered out, coughing, lungs burning from the recycled air. Every step sank into the fine red sand. His heart pounded, not from the fall, but from the sudden eerie stillness that surrounded him. No wind. No life. Not even a bird or a scuttling insect. Just dust, rocks, and the faint hum of his damaged life support system. Then he saw it. A shadow flickered near the jagged ruins of what might have been a settlement, long abandoned. A low, pitiful groan reached his ears. Rylan froze. His stomach twisted, not from hunger but from recognition. The sound was alive, struggling, desperate. Moving cautiously, he approached the ruins. There, huddled among broken metal frames and fallen stones, was a creature. Its scales were dull, cracked, and streaked with blood and dust. Thin wings drooped, torn in places. Its eyes, large, luminous, and golden, locked on him with raw, pleading fear. Rylan's pulse raced. He had seen dragons and holovids, of course, but nothing like this. Nothing so broken, so humanly vulnerable. "Hey," he said softly, hands raised. The dragon hissed, a weak, rasping sound. Its chest rose and fell unevenly. Rylan's mind raced. He had no food. No water. The planet offered nothing familiar. And yet, leaving this creature here would be a death sentence. His fingers brushed the dragon's scales, warm, surprisingly alive. Suddenly the ground beneath them quaked. Dust rained down from the edges of the ruins. A jagged fissure opened, splitting the floor just a few feet from where the dragon lay. It was fast, like the planet itself wanted them gone. The dragon's eyes widened in panic, wings flaring. Rylan didn't hesitate. He grabbed a loose metal beam, rolled it toward the edge of the fissure, and used it to pull the dragon back just as the ground yawned open. Dust and rocks tumbled into the growing chasm. The dragon whimpered, weak but alive. Rylan exhaled sharply, his hand still resting on its chest. "You're not going to die today," he murmured, though neither of them could know what tomorrow held. He tore strips from his own torn uniform, pressing them to the dragon's bleeding wings. As he worked, the creature emitted a faint glow from strange markings along its spine and legs. Rylan's brow furrowed. Bioluminescent? Mechanical? Something alien. Whatever it was, it pulsed in rhythm with the dragon's shallow heartbeat. A clue, or a warning, he couldn't yet understand. Night came fast. The sky burned in deep crimson, stars hiding behind the thin haze of the planet's toxic atmosphere. Shadows stretched like fingers across the ruins. Rylan fashioned a makeshift shelter from debris, keeping the dragon close, whispering reassurances to a creature that didn't understand words. He scavenged what little he could from the wreckage. Metal scraps, a half-broken water filter, energy cells that might last a few hours. Enough to survive tonight, maybe. As he settled, a strange chill ran across his skin. He glanced up. High above the horizon, faint lights moved in precise, unnatural patterns. Not falling stars. Not satellites. They hovered, blinked, and shifted with intelligence. Rylan squinted. Could it be signals from a base? Or something watching? His fingers tightened around the dragon's wing. The dragon twitched, glowing brighter, almost as if it sensed what he could not. Then it let out a sharp, pitiful cry, and Rylan realized it wasn't just fear. It was calling. Calling to someone or something he couldn't see. His stomach sank. Whatever was out there, it was waiting and it knew they were here. Rylan pressed his back against a jagged wall of rock. The first true night on this dead world pressed in, suffocating and silent. His mind raced through possibilities, strategies, escape routes, but there were none. He had crashed on a planet that offered nothing but danger. Yet, staring at the dragon's glowing eyes, he knew one thing: they could not give up. Not tonight. Not while the creature still had a spark of life. A sudden rumble shook the ruins again. Dust fell from the ceiling. Rylan's eyes darted to the horizon. The faint lights were moving closer, faster now. And from the shadows at the edge of the ruins, another silhouette emerged. Larger than the dragon. Larger than anything he had ever seen on this planet. Its form shimmered like molten metal, almost invisible against the night, but unmistakably alive. The dragon shivered under his hand, its wings twitching, glowing brighter in response. Rylan's heart hammered. Whatever this was, it was not natural. and it was heading straight for them. He swallowed, gripping the creature tightly, his mind racing for a plan. For the first time he realized the real fight for survival was just beginning, and this world had only just shown its first move. Ryland's breath caught as the shimmering silhouette drew closer. The red dust swirled around it like smoke in slow motion, reflecting the faint glow of the dragon's markings. It moved with impossible precision, each step measured. It wasn't a natural creature, he could see that now, but what it was he couldn't yet name. The dragon whimpered, trembling against his side, wings flickering weakly as if ready to strike. But against what? He scanned the ruins. Broken beams, twisted metal, jagged stones, all potential tools. His hands shook as he gripped a piece of sharp metal, ready to defend, though against this thing he wasn't sure a weapon would matter. The silhouette halted, hovering just beyond the crumbling wall of debris, almost observing, almost calculating. Ryland knew he had no time to hesitate. "Stay close," he whispered to the dragon. He could feel its heartbeat under his palm, faint but stubborn, a reminder that even on a dead planet, life fought back. The dragon's glow pulsed faster as the silhouette shifted, revealing more of its form, elongated, metallic limbs, with smooth surfaces that reflected the crimson sky. Its eyes, or what he assumed were eyes, glinted like liquid amber, scanning, assessing. Then it lunged. Ryland reacted instinctively. He shoved the dragon behind a fallen beam and grabbed a loose pipe from the debris. The creature smashed into it with inhuman speed, metal screeching as sparks flew. He swung blindly, trying to hit a moving target, but the silhouette was fast, smarter than any predator he'd faced. His first strike barely grazed it. The dragon hissed, coughing weak smoke from its nostrils. Then without warning it lunged. Weak, starved, and ragged as it was, the dragon's flames hit the metallic figure's leg, sizzling on contact. The silhouette recoiled slightly. Ryland's pulse surged. Even in its weakened state the dragon could fight, and instinctively knew how to. Ryland grabbed a broken energy cell from the wreckage and hurled it at the creature. It exploded in a burst of sparks and smoke, giving them a fraction of a second to act. He bolted with the dragon toward a partially collapsed tunnel in the ruins. Every step was a gamble. Dust clouds choked his lungs, stones shifted underfoot, but they made it inside just as the creature lunged again, missing them by inches. Inside the tunnel, darkness pressed against them. The dragon's glow provided only a pale light, enough to see jagged walls and strange carvings etched into the metal, patterns that pulsed faintly with an energy Ryland couldn't comprehend. The dragon paused, sniffing the air, nostrils flaring, body tense. Its glow flared brighter in short pulses. Ryland realized, it was warning him. Something else was here. Something else, bigger, hidden. He listened. A faint scraping sound came from deeper in the tunnel, rhythmic, deliberate. His heart thumped. He had expected to be safe, at least temporarily. Instead, the planet itself seemed alive, hunting them. "What are you?" he muttered, gripping the dragon tighter. He had no answer, only instinct and adrenaline. He needed food, water, shelter, but most of all he needed a plan. The tunnel split. Ryland considered both paths. One seemed to descend deeper into the ruins, the other angled toward a faint glimmer of light outside. He chose instinct, toward light, toward hope. The dragon limped but followed, its wings dragging behind it. Each step was a fight, but it refused to leave his side. They emerged into a small courtyard, twisted metal forming jagged towers around them. The dragon coughed again, flames sputtering weakly from its nostrils. Ryland knelt beside it, ripping another strip from his uniform to bind a torn wing. As he worked, the creature nudged his hand with its snout, faint warmth radiating. Small, almost imperceptible, but it was there, a connection. Then movement. From behind the ruins, more of the metallic silhouettes appeared. Smaller this time, faster, almost insect-like, surrounding them. Their amber eyes glowed in unison. Ryland's mind raced. They were not random predators. They were organized, coordinated, hunting. Ryland's hands moved fast. He grabbed another energy cell and positioned it near the tunnel entrance. Timing was everything. The creatures were closing in. A spark, a small detonation, and one of the smaller silhouettes screeched, thrown back by the blast. The dragon roared weakly, a flame curling along the nearest attacker. Another down. A micro payoff, small but proof that they could fight back. But the main threat remained, the huge silhouette from before. It didn't attack yet. It watched. Calculated. Ryland's stomach dropped. Whatever this thing was, it wasn't here to kill, not yet. Wanted something. He glanced at the dragon, glowing brighter now. Its pulse matched his own heartbeat and he realized, the creature wasn't just a companion. It was the key. Somehow, someway it could turn the tide. He didn't understand it yet, but he would. A sudden quake shook the courtyard, throwing loose debris into the air. The metallic silhouettes faltered, hesitated. Ryland seized the moment. "Move," he shouted. With the dragon at his side, they ran toward another part of the ruins, deeper into the unknown. The glowing markings on the dragon flared in alarm as the shadows shifted. The huge silhouette wasn't following, they weren't being chased, it was waiting, testing them. Ryland swallowed, knowing one wrong move could end both their lives. As they rounded a twisted tower of metal and rock, a faint hum began to fill the air. Low, resonant, almost musical, vibrating through the ruins and the ground beneath their feet. The dragon stiffened, ears pricked, wings twitching. Ryland froze. He had no idea what it was, but whatever it was coming for them. And then he heard it, a second, smaller roar behind them, but unlike the dragon's. Mechanical, guttural, and far too close. Something else had awoken in the ruins. Something they hadn't seen yet. Ryland gripped the dragon's wing, heart hammering. This was bigger than he imagined. The fight wasn't just for survival, it was for understanding, for connection, and maybe, somehow, for life itself. The hum grew louder, the ground trembled, and a sharp, brilliant glow erupted from the far side of the ruins. Ryland squinted through the dust. The dragon's eyes widened. Whatever was coming next would change everything. The glow from the far side of the ruins pulsed like a heartbeat, throwing long, sharp shadows across the cracked metal walls. Ryland crouched behind a jagged pile of rubble, the dragon huddled close to his side. Its wings twitched, glowing brighter with every pulse. He had no idea what awaited them, but instinct told him this was the moment to act. "Stay close," he whispered, his hand pressing gently against the dragon's scaled chest. It shivered, then let out a low, urgent hiss, almost like a warning. Ryland swallowed his fear. Every sense screamed danger, yet the dragon's glow gave him courage, a fragile thread of hope. They edged forward, moving cautiously toward the source of the light. The glow wasn't natural, it was structured, geometric, almost alive. Embedded in the ground, partially buried under debris, was a strange, circular device. Metallic and smooth, etched with glowing runes that matched the dragon's markings. The hum came from it, low and resonant, vibrating through the soles of Ryland's boots. Ryland knelt beside it, scanning the device. His hands brushed the etched symbols. The runes shifted under his touch, shimmering like liquid. He jumped back instinctively, heart racing. "What the hell?" he muttered. The dragon's head tilted, eyes locked on the device, wings flickering in anticipation or warning. Then, unexpectedly, the ground beneath them trembled. From the shadows, mechanical silhouettes, smaller, insect-like versions of the huge figure, emerged, surrounding them. Their amber eyes glowed in unison. Ryland realized they weren't attacking yet. They were guarding, calculating, waiting. He took a deep breath, mind racing. There was no time to hesitate. Every second he lingered increased the risk. He reached for a broken energy cell in his pocket, hesitated, then dropped it near the device and activated it. Sparks flew, energy arcing toward the runes. The device reacted immediately. Lines of light spread across the metal floor, connecting with the dragon's glowing markings. The dragon hissed and shivered, light pulsing faster, brighter. Then something incredible happened. The device projected a holographic map into the air, a three-dimensional projection of the planet, once alive and teeming with forests, rivers, and strange cities. Ryland's eyes widened. Life had existed here, long ago. And somehow the dragon was connected. The mechanical silhouettes shifted nervously, almost like they understood what had happened. The dragon took a step forward, wings flickering weakly but purposefully. Its glow flared, resonating with the projection. A pulse of energy surged through the ground, and the smaller silhouettes froze. Ryland realized the dragon was communicating with them, calming them, controlling them. But then a deeper rumble shook the ruins. The huge silhouette from before appeared at the far edge, partially hidden by dust and rubble. Its amber eyes blazed as it assessed the scene. Ryland's stomach twisted. He wasn't sure if it was an enemy or a test. One wrong move and they could all be destroyed. "All right," he muttered, more to himself than the dragon. "We do this together." He pressed his hand against the dragon's neck, feeling the warmth and pulse beneath the scales. "We'll figure it out." The dragon roared, weak but determined. Its flames shot toward the nearest mechanical silhouettes, more for intimidation than damage. Sparks flew, but the creatures didn't retreat. Instead, the glow from the device intensified, and the silhouette stopped moving entirely, hovering in place. Something in the dragon's markings had overridden their systems, or at least paused them. Ryland's mind raced. If the dragon could control them, if it was the key, then they had a chance. But what exactly was the key unlocking? What had created this planet? The questions piled up faster than answers, but one thing was certain: the dragon's life wasn't accidental. It had a purpose, and somehow, that purpose was tied to the survival of the planet itself. He adjusted the energy cell, connecting it more securely to the device. Light shot through the runes and flowed into the dragon's glowing markings. The dragon shivered violently, then collapsed onto its side. Ryland's heart leapt. Had he harmed it? But after a tense moment, it stirred, wings fluttering as the glow stabilized, brighter and stronger than before. It was alive, more alive than he had ever seen it. Ryland realized something extraordinary. The dragon was not just alive, it was awakening. Its body pulsed in time with the energy from the device, harmonizing with the ancient power buried beneath the ruins. He understood then that the dragon was a bridge, a link between the planet's lost life and the mechanical guardians. But just as hope surged, the huge silhouette moved. Faster than Ryland expected, it struck toward the dragon, metallic limbs slicing through the air. Ryland acted without thinking, throwing himself between them and the attack. Sparks flew as metal met flesh, and the dragon yelped, flames bursting instinctively to shield them both. Ryland grabbed a shard of metal and jammed it into the nearest joint of the huge figure. It screeched, recoiling, just long enough for him to pull the dragon out of harm's way. Together they scrambled toward the device. The dragon's glow lit the way, steady and strong now. Ryland's heart raced, sweat stinging his eyes. Survival felt impossible, and yet, somehow they were still alive. The mechanical silhouettes began to stir again, but now Ryland could see it. The huge figure hesitated. The smaller ones paused, reacting to the dragon's light. They were listening, responding, waiting for a signal. The dragon wasn't weak. It was the key. Ryland knelt beside it, pressing both hands to its chest. "You can do this. I know you can." The dragon's eyes, golden and fierce, locked on his. Then, with a low, resonant roar, the energy from the device and the dragon surged outward in a brilliant pulse. The silhouettes froze, suspended in midair as if the world itself had paused. Ryland felt a thrill of hope, and a wave of fear. He had no idea what the pulse had done, only that it had changed something fundamental. The dragon lay trembling, exhausted but alive, its glow steady now, almost serene. Then, from deep within the ruins, a sound echoed, a slow, deliberate hum that wasn't part of the device. Ryland's eyes widened. Something else had awakened. Something bigger than the silhouettes. And it was coming. The hum grew louder, reverberating through the ruins, shaking dust from jagged walls. Ryland's hands were slick with sweat as he held the dragon close, feeling the warmth and steady pulse beneath its scales. The glow had stabilized, casting eerie light across the debris-strewn courtyard, but the sense of watching eyes pressed down on him, heavy and suffocating. Whatever had stirred in the depths of the ruins was massive, far larger than the mechanical silhouettes they had fought. From the shadows, the huge figure emerged again, more clearly this time. Its body glimmered like liquid metal, limbs long and sharp, eyes blazing amber with intelligence that felt almost human. It didn't move like a predator, it moved like a judge, assessing them. Ryland's stomach twisted. One wrong move, and they could be crushed before the dragon even had a chance to breathe. He pressed the dragon closer, whispering, "We can do this. Together." Its wings twitched, faint smoke curling from its nostrils, but it stayed grounded, trusting him. That trust was the thin line between survival and death. The mechanical silhouettes moved forward, swarming, coordinated. But the dragon flared its wings and glowed, releasing a pulse of energy from the runes embedded along its back. The smaller figures faltered, retreating slightly, synchronized with the dragon's signals. Ryland's pulse quickened. They could fight, not by brute force but by working together. He scanned the ruins for anything that could help. Broken beams, a collapsed wall, exposed circuitry from the old alien structures. An idea sparked. He pulled the dragon behind a crumbling arch, ripping a piece of metal from the debris. With precise timing, he jammed it into the exposed circuitry, short-circuiting the small guardians. Sparks flew and arcs of electricity danced across the walls, sending several mechanical attackers reeling. The dragon hissed and unleashed a small controlled flame, scorching another set of attackers. They were surviving. They were fighting back. But the huge figure didn't falter. It raised a metallic arm and the ground beneath them shivered violently. Ryland staggered, nearly losing his balance, dragging the dragon with him. The pulse from the figure wasn't just force, it was energy resonating with the planet itself. Rocks lifted, dust swirled, and a jagged fissure opened beneath the ruins. Rylan knew they had seconds, maybe less. He pressed both hands on the dragon, feeling the synchronized pulse of its heart. The dragon's glow flared, brighter than ever, as if it sensed his determination. He understood in that instant what they had to do. The dragon wasn't just defending them, it was the key to stopping this impossible threat. He grabbed a small energy cell from his pack, activating it and channeling its unstable power into the runes along the dragon's spine. Sparks arced and danced as the markings glowed white-hot, flooding the courtyard with energy. The huge figure hesitated, tilting its head, amber eyes narrowing in calculation. Rylan gritted his teeth. He couldn't know if it would work, but he had no choice. With a roar, the dragon released its energy. A pulse shot outward, striking the mechanical figure with precision. Metal screeched, sparks erupted, and the silhouettes around it collapsed in temporary shutdown. The huge figure staggered but did not fall. Rylan's heart pounded. He pressed harder on the dragon, channeling every ounce of courage, every shred of his own energy into the creature. The dragon's body shuddered violently, glowing brighter than the sun reflected in molten metal. Then, in a moment of pure brilliance, the huge figure froze. The amber eyes dimmed slightly, and for a fraction of a second, it seemed aware, almost hesitant. Rylan felt the pulse in the dragon's chest align with the pulse of the figure itself. The impossible was happening. A sudden blast of energy shot from the device buried in the ruins, linking with the dragon and radiating outward in a shockwave. Dust and debris flew into the air, blinding Rylan for a heartbeat. When he opened his eyes, the mechanical figure had retreated, and the smaller silhouettes lay inert. The courtyard was silent, save for the dragon's hissing breaths and the low hum of the ancient device. Rylan sank to one knee, exhaustion and adrenaline colliding in his chest. The dragon collapsed beside him, wings trembling, glowing steadily now. He brushed a hand along its neck. "You did it," he whispered, voice cracking. "We did it." For the first time since the crash, he allowed himself a small, shaky smile. They had survived impossible odds together. But the moment of relief was brief. From deep within the ruins came a slow, deliberate vibration, heavier and more ominous than before. The ground trembled beneath them. Rylan's brow furrowed. The huge figure was gone, but something else had awakened. Something deeper, older, and far more powerful. The dragon lifted its head, eyes glowing fiercely, wings twitching in anticipation. It understood what was coming before Rylan could even react. He gripped its neck again, feeling the synchronized heartbeat between them, and realized this was far from over. Whatever this new threat was, it had been waiting for them all along. Rylan looked across the ruins, scanning every shadow, every jagged wall, every opening. Survival had been a test, and the real challenge had only just begun. His mind raced through options: fight, flee, or find a way to communicate with whatever lay beneath. There were no guarantees. He didn't even know if the dragon's power alone would be enough. A sudden flash of light from the far side of the courtyard caught his eye. The ruins shifted, revealing an enormous doorway carved into the rock, lined with glowing symbols that pulsed in sync with the dragon's markings. Something ancient and intelligent lived beyond it. Rylan's chest tightened. This was no accident. The planet had led them here, the dragon had survived for this moment, and now, they had to face whatever waited inside. He pressed the dragon close, voice low but firm. "We go together. Whatever's in there, we face it as one." The dragon roared softly, almost in agreement, its wings brushing against his shoulder. Rylan felt a surge of determination, courage born not just from survival but from trust and connection. The ground trembled again, louder this time, echoing through the ruins. The doorway pulsed brighter, and the shadows around them seemed to shift with life of their own. The challenge had escalated from impossible odds to near certain peril, but Rylan knew something no machine, no planet, no ancient power could ever take away: the human heart. The spark of courage, empathy, and determination. Together, human and dragon stepped toward the glowing doorway, ready for whatever lay beyond. Whatever waited inside would test them to their limits, and yet they were ready to defy the impossible once more. Rylan pressed his hand against the dragon's warm scales as they stepped through the glowing doorway. Light poured over them, casting the ruins into sharp shadows that stretched like fingers across the barren ground. The air was alive with energy, buzzing softly against his ears, making his skin tingle. Whatever lay ahead, it was ancient, powerful, and aware. The dragon's wings fluttered weakly but determinedly. Its golden eyes scanned the chamber beyond the doorway, glowing brighter with every pulse from the runes along its spine. Rylan realized with a jolt of understanding that the dragon wasn't just a creature of flesh and scales. It was a key, a bridge between the planet's lost life and whatever force had remained dormant for centuries. The chamber opened into a massive hall, walls carved from polished stone, etched with symbols that pulsed faintly like the dragon's markings. In the center, a pedestal rose from the floor, smooth and metallic. On it rested a crystalline orb radiating energy that hummed in harmony with the dragon's glow. Rylan's pulse raced. This was the source. The miracle that could revive the planet, or destroy them both if mishandled. The dragon stepped forward cautiously, its glow intensifying as the orb seemed to respond. Rylan's hands trembled, but he knelt beside the creature, touching its neck, feeling the heartbeat that now synchronized with the orb's rhythm. He whispered, "You can do this. We can do this." The orb pulsed brighter, sending shockwaves of light across the hall. Dust lifted, and ancient machinery hidden in the walls hummed to life. Mechanical silhouettes, once hostile, emerged from hidden recesses, but this time they did not attack. Instead, they hovered in formation, responding to the dragon's pulse. Rylan realized the planet itself had awakened, and they were at the center of it. He scanned the chamber, spotting broken conduits and exposed energy channels. A plan formed in his mind. If he could channel some of his ship's remaining power through the orb, synchronize it with the dragon's energy, they might stabilize the planet's life force. It was risky, too much energy could fry the orb or worse destroy the dragon. But they had no choice. Survival and the chance to restore life demanded action. Rylan tore the remaining energy cells from his pack, connecting them to the conduits. Sparks flew and the hum intensified. The dragon hissed, wings spreading slightly as if warning him. He pressed gently, whispering, "Trust me. Trust us both." The dragon's glow flared, pulsing in harmony with the orb. Energy surged through the chamber in waves. The mechanical silhouettes shifted, forming patterns that amplified the flow. The dragon's roar, low and resonant, blended with the hum of the orb, creating a rhythm that echoed across the planet. Cracks in the barren soil beyond the chamber glowed faint green, veins of life slowly returning to the dead landscape. Rylan stumbled back, shielding his eyes as light enveloped them. He felt exhaustion clawing at him, but he couldn't stop. Not now. The dragon trembled, wings faltering, but it pressed forward, channeling the last of its energy. Its glow reached a blinding intensity, then slowly softened, settling into a steady, golden radiance. The hall grew silent. The mechanical silhouettes had powered down, inert but functional. The orb's hum softened, and the energy flowing through the chamber stabilized. Rylan glanced around. Outside, the barren planet was changing. Dust lifted from the valleys, tiny shoots of green began to emerge, and the faint sound of rushing water reached his ears. Life had returned, fragile but undeniable. He knelt beside the dragon, exhausted, but tears streaked his face. "We did it," he whispered, voice breaking. The dragon nudged his hand, warm and steady, acknowledging the bond they had formed. For the first time, Rylan understood the truth. Courage, determination, and compassion had made this impossible miracle possible. Humans could change worlds. The dragon stretched its wings, no longer weak, no longer starving. Its glow pulsed gently, harmonizing with the reborn energy of the planet. Rylan smiled, relief washing over him. The creature had survived, and together they had rekindled life where there had been none. As they stepped toward the doorway, the chamber hummed once more, faintly this time. A pulse of energy shot outward, forming a shimmering map in the air. Rylan's brow furrowed. The orb was connected to something larger, a network spanning far beyond this planet. Points of light blinked across the map, distant worlds, some thriving, some dormant. The dragon's eyes flicked to the map, and Rylan realized the planet's restoration was only the beginning. He pressed a hand to the dragon's neck, whispering, "Looks like there's more out there. More to fix. More to save." The dragon's wings lifted, casting shadows that danced across the newly growing terrain. It roared softly, almost in agreement. Outside, the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, revealing valleys and cliffs alive with new color. Streams sparkled, the wind carried a hint of freshness, and in the distance, mechanical guardians moved slowly, monitoring, protecting. The dead world was no longer dead. Life had returned because of a human who refused to give up and a dragon outcast who found trust and courage. Rylan looked up at the sky, eyes narrowed. The faint shimmer of distant worlds, visible through the atmosphere, promised new challenges. He knew their journey was far from over. Whatever mysteries awaited them across the galaxy, they would face them, together. He stepped forward, dragon at his side, as the ruins behind them glowed faintly, energy still lingering from the miracle they had wrought. The air vibrated with potential as if the planet itself was whispering, "This is just the beginning." The dragon nudged him gently and Rylan smiled, determination shining in his eyes. Against impossible odds they had survived. Against impossible odds they had revived life. And now the galaxy awaited,